Gamers, we have assembled here today to talk about one of my favorite video game systems of all time. Do you want to know what that console is? And it's one you might not expect from someone like me with a Nintendo 64 thing here, and Rob the Robot with my G Fuel. Use code DINGUS at checkout for your brand new cup of G Fuel. Warning, I am not sponsored by G Fuel. I just love this drink and it's amazing. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite game console, and that is the original Xbox, or also known as the Xbox OG. Here we are. Yes, the original Xbox is my favorite game console of all time. And I mean this genuinely. This console revolutionized online multiplayer, and it also revolutionized how we talk to our friends on the internet and play games together and socialize in the modern era. The original Xbox had 4 controller ports and a giant green circle in the middle reminding you that this ain't no Nintendo bitch baby console, this was an Xbox. And it came with a controller. The original Xbox had 2 control sticks, which is that's kind of normal. But what it did have, the other consoles didn't have, was 2 slots for expansion. So one was for memory card, usually, that's what you usually put in the top. But you really didn't need a memory card for the original Xbox because this thing had a hard drive in it. Yes, the original Xbox had from what I know, a 10 gigabyte hard drive. So let me ask you this, can you fit a 100 gigabyte Cyberpunk file on this console? No. Now the original Xbox controller, also known as the Duke, now this is not the Duke, this is called the Controller S. They released the Controller S because people did not like how big the original Xbox controller was. So they released this little baby controller that us Americans could hold, instead of that big Chungus controller that none of us could hold in our hands. Place big Chungus image right here. Anyway, this controller was pretty nice. It kind of paved the way for the Xbox 360 controller that would become standard in the generation forward from there. This controller is really nice in the hands. I actually think it's nicer than the Xbox One controller, which, now we use currently with the Series X and S. And I think the triggers, I miss original Xbox triggers. They have this linear feel that's just so nice to pull. Oh, it's so nice! Now what kind of games could you play on your original Xbox? Well, let me tell you! You could play games such as MechAssault, The Elder Scrolls 3, Morrowind, which this was a major title for the original Xbox, because this is the only place you could play Morrowind on console. My favorite original Xbox exclusive, Jade Empire. How about some Soul Calibur 2? There were so many good titles on the original Xbox. Tons! And it's a console that I think has been forgotten in the modern era. Sadly, in fact, because there is so much to this giant console. It is actually what many consider to be the spiritual successor to the Sega Dreamcast, because Sega was a major, well, I guess you could say proponent to console development for this console. They made a ton of software, ported a bunch of games that were supposed to come out for the Dreamcast onto this beast of a system, such as Shenmue 2, which is originally going to be on the Dreamcast in the US. It was on the Dreamcast in Japan, but because the Dreamcast did not sell so well in the US and everywhere for that matter, they ported it to this guy. Now, what makes the Xbox special? Well, there's quite a few things. Number one, as I said earlier, its hard drive, which is in this bad boy right here. It allowed you to save tons of data, and it also made it a big console in the modding scene, because you could put all kinds of emulation on this baby, right? You could put your SNES library on here, or really anything you could think of, right? And another thing was its 4 controller ports, which was really kind of a big deal when the N64 came out and the GameCube. But this way you wouldn't have to buy a multi-tap, which was something that the PlayStation 2 and the PS1 sold, and also the SNES and NES. The multi-tap was essentially before you could plug in wireless or wired controllers, where you would have to buy an extension to the second controller port to add 3 more controller ports. This was for 4-player multiplayer, which was a thing that was popularized by the Nintendo 64 and the original Xbox. You could do things like split-screen Halo. You could do things like split-screen Counter-Strike. You could do a lot of things, and do a lot of things with your friends with 4-player controller ports. This was an important development in the world of multiplayer gaming. If it was not for that, there would be a lot more unhappy people trying to play Halo 2. Xbox Live! Yes! On the back of the Xbox, right here, there is a LAN port. What is the LAN port for? Online gaming! Yes! You can connect your Xbox to a modem. Yes, a modem. Advanced technology, right? And you could connect to Xbox Live with a $50 a year subscription. That was such a deal, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. The original Xbox, you could pay $50 a year to connect to the Xbox Live, where you could play with such players as Dark Master. Play the Dark Master footage right here. That way you could BXR your way through Halo 2 and kill some noobs in Mech Assault. The original Xbox is a system that's near and dear to my heart for quite a few reasons. The original Xbox is a very cheap system to collect for. Anyone who's trying to get into game collecting, I always recommend them to start with the original Xbox, because it's a good gateway into the way of retro game collecting. The games are worth a few bucks at most, for most of them, not the rare ones, but for most games like games like Counter-Strike or Halo 2, they're pretty inexpensive, I would say. I got my copy of Halo 2 for $2 about 2 years ago. So in short, this is a shorter video just because I wanted to make something fun today. The original Xbox is a console that's near and dear to my heart. I think it's an amazing little piece of kit, and it's just fun to collect for. I have a whole shelf of original Xbox games right over there, and I don't know, this system is near and dear to my heart. There's something truly special about it, and I think the more people who get into this system, the better. That's about it. I just wanted to talk about my favorite system, my favorite retro system of all time. It's actually my favorite console of all time. I think it's such a cool little piece of hardware. But anyway, please subscribe to ChrisTronbot today. I need an audience, man. I need to share my opinions, my gaming opinions with the world. You know, I can't do this alone. I can't be a gamer alone. I gotta talk to my audience, right? So that's it for now. Subscribe to ChrisTronbot today. Like the video, subscribe, comment. You know the routine by now. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.